You know, sometimes Minecraft feels way too tidy and neat, too clean, almost sterile. How about we go and fix this by getting us some Clutter? Clutter is an insanely awesome 120.2 fabric mod that adds lots and lots of vanilla style blocks, items and entities to Minecraft. Now there is an incredible amount of new blocks and items to take a look at, so let's jump right in to all of this Clutter. Interior design. There's an incredible amount of new blocks perfect for your interior design. Let's start, for example, by designing our living room with a nice oak table available in all wood variants. And let's also add some chairs. And while, yes, of course, you can sit in those chairs. In fact, there's quite a few blocks you can sit on in this mod. But the table is not done yet. Let's add a nice lamp to give us some light and maybe some bread, a statue, or maybe a bowl. This will surely make this place feel a bit more like home. The amount of new blocks really can feel like clutter. But to be fair, you will never have had a better designed interior. So let's move on to the kitchen with these awesome cupboards, shelves, and food boxes, which sadly you cannot eat from, but they do look really cool. After making some food in the awesomely decorated kitchen, you can move on and make a bathroom with a toilet and a towel. After that food, you're gonna need it. How about you use some custom candles to give some nice atmosphere, and at the end of the day, you can sit down on the bench, on your porch, looking out if you had any mail delivered. Or maybe you want to chill in your armchair in front of the TV. If you want to make sure your neighbors aren't peeking in through your windows, make sure to close those curtains, be it the normal ones, the long ones, or even the tall curtains. The possibilities are endless. Additional copper blocks. Yes, Clutter also brings some additional copper blocks with it, such as bars, chains, buttons, doors, lanterns, and pressure plates. They are all available in the different oxidized states as well, and they can be waxed if needed. Some gold variant blocks also exist, in addition to some new material blocks like silver blocks seen here, and even onyx blocks. While silver can be found in deep slate ores, onyx is found instead of sulfur in the nether or as geos spawning in the world. Sleep tight. How about you get yourself some bunk beds and fill them with the only thing you need for a good night's sleep. I'm talking, of course, about plushies. Yes! Plushies come in 10 variants, from sheep, cow, pig, and chicken, all the way to foxes, ocelots, squids, and even panda plushies. All of them available. And of course, there's also an ender dragon plushie. Absolutely adorable and an amazing addition. Did I mention you can wear them as hats? Sadly though, you cannot craft the plushies. You can only find them in chests. But once you do, you can decorate the bedroom of your dreams. Indeed, there are many more blocks that are added by Clutter. You've seen a couple of them throughout the video in the background as well, but here are some of my favorites. The aquatic torch is a torch that works underwater. The chandelier and candelabra are two awesome light sources that make your rooms look regal. And lastly, the chimney, which can make your house look really nice and cozy from the outside. But you know, enough of those blocks. What about some items? Well, plenty more Clutter to see. Items. There's many different items that Clutter adds, such as copper nuggets, silver and onyx materials, as well as a whole silver armor set. There's also sulfur, which can be found in the nether and turned into gunpowder. Lots of small little additions here and there that make this mod truly awesome. I'm getting a little bit hungry from all of this. Let's start farming and eating some things. Farm and food. There's some new crops to farm, namely hops for making beer or potions of vulnerability. You could consider those two the same thing, I guess, but there's also kiwi for making kiwi pie, cotton for making wool easily formable, and two new plants called the thorn bloom and the glow lily. The glow lily will grow bulbs, which can be eaten for the glowing effect and the poison effect. They can also be made into glow lily blocks, which give off some nice light. And the thorn bloom grow pears, which can be eaten raw or baked. I think we've eaten enough now. We must go on an adventure. But before we wander into the world, let's choose a hat and an elytra. Hats and elytras. With the butterfly smithing template, it is possible to make some really awesome looking elytras. I'll cycle through a few of them over here. They're all easily craftable with the template, an elytra, and the needed dye. Really awesome to give you some variety while flying about. And of course, don't forget the hats. Maybe you're a British gentleman, a French revolutionary, or a princess. These hats are an awesome little addition that could honestly be its own mod. They are very easy to craft, but make a solid impression. Now that we're prepared, let's venture out into the wild world and let's take a look at the mobs of Clutter. In total, Clutter adds 10 new mobs to the game, each with a little bit of a mechanic. First up are our companions in the sky, the butterfly. The butterfly. These flying bugs spawn in all sorts of colors and fly around looking beautiful. I love the ambience they bring to certain biomes. It just makes the game feel more cozy and chill. Slaying them gets you nothing, but it does give you an advancement. You can, however, catch them in bottles and later release them again. The chameleon. The chameleon. Where is it? Oh, it's just hard to spot on grass. These reptiles will hunt butterflies, and they do change their colors in some situations. For example, when they enter water, they turn blue. And while I know that it's quite difficult to implement, I would love to see some gradual change in color of these chameleons when they stand on different blocks. That would honestly make this a 10 out of 10 mob for me. They can additionally be tamed and bred with thorn bloom pairs, but they don't drop anything as loot. Next up is the beaver. Indeed, an adorable little animal that spawns in river biomes. They can be bred with saplings, and they drop their building materials, namely sticks and logs, when being slain. Very apt in this situation. The capybara. Capybaras, just like in real life, are super chill and won't even attack you back. They will heal nearby mobs when they're sleeping and can be tamed with melon slices and bred with melons. The capybara will spawn in the savanna biome and won't drop any loot upon being slain. The emperor penguin. These adorable flightless birds spawn in cold biomes like the ice spikes, the snowy plains, or the snowy beaches. They can be bred with salmons, upon which they will spawn eggs, which will hatch after some time. Slaying them will yield feathers and salmon. The kiwi. Not only does this mod add the fruit, but it also adds the bird. Kiwis spawn inside of jungles and can be bred with seeds. Similar to the penguins, an egg will spawn, which will hatch after some time. Slaying them might get you a kiwi and some feathers. The moss blooms. Deep within lush cave biomes, you might encounter the moss bloom. These magnificent creatures look absolutely stunning. They can be bred with large drip leaves and might drop some raw venison ribs, and moss bloom antlers. The venison can be cooked, of course, while the antlers can be turned into glowstone dust. Glowstone? Where would you find that? Exactly, inside of the Nether, and that's where the two next mobs reside. The crimson newt. The crimson newt is a neutral mob that is immune to fire, spawning inside of the crimson forest biomes. They can be bred with crimson roots, finally giving these items a purpose, and while they don't drop anything upon being slain, they can be sheared to harvest some tasty crimson fungi off their back. The ember tortoise. Instead of the basalt deltas, you will sometimes encounter the ember tortoise, an old mob that can be bred using fire charges. They don't only look cool though, they might also drop some sulfur and basalt upon being defeated. The echofins. And in the end, there are echofins. Awesome looking levitating fish that swim around in the end. Depending on the variant, they can drop themselves and can be eaten raw or cooked. Do note though that you will be randomly teleported or start levitating for a few seconds when you eat them. I talked about so many things, yet there is so much more Clutter to discover. Just like this video to discover, because YouTube thinks you like it the most. Hope to see you there. So, yeah.